Pastor Michael Adams seemed destined for sainthood. Tall, warm-voiced, and earnest, he led Haven of Light Church the way a seasoned captain guides a ship through fog. Steady, unflinching, compassionate. On Sundays, the sanctuary hummed with anticipation. Congregants lined the aisles, eager to hear Michael translate ancient scripture into modern hope. His talent was equal parts storytelling and shepherding. By the benediction, even skeptics felt lighter. Haven of Light did more than preach. Under Michael's direction, volunteers patched leaking roofs, delivered groceries to shut-ins, and ran GD classes in the basement. Birmingham's newspapers called the place an oasis of kindness in a city starved for mercy. Michael's calling traced back to childhood. Born in a shotgun house on 31st Street North, he was raised on hymns and hardship. His father, Peter Adams, a gentle deacon, painted houses by day and prayed over the pulpit by night. His mother, Mary, directed the choir, her mezzo-soprano filling the rafters like sunlight. Even as a 7-year-old, Michael mimicked her vibrato while sweeping pews, dreaming of the day he'd preach. But teenage Michael struggled. Acne, self-doubt, and the crushing expectation of future pastor smothered him. Everything changed the summer he volunteered at Shepherd's Camp, a rustic retreat for underprivileged kids. Watching a homesick 10-year-old finally laugh during a campfire hymn cracked something open inside him. Ministry was less about perfect words and more about seeing people. By 24, he held a theology degree, a battered pickup, and a fire in his gut to serve. He accepted a youth pastor role at Haven of Light, sleeping in a borrowed guest room until the church board promoted him to senior pastor 4 years later. The church basement overflowed with canned beans and rice bags the Saturday Lauren Pierce breezed in wearing jeans dusted by flour and hope. She'd organized a countywide food drive that drew 300 families. Michael watched her glide between tables, offering a hug here, a prayer there, her eyes always level with the person in front of her. He noticed how recipients straightened, as if her presence alone added inches to their posture. Later that night, they loaded the last pallet into a rattling box truck. Lauren wiped sweat from her brow and laughed at the flour smear on Michael's shirt. The streetlight framed her like a halo, cliché, yet true. They talked until dawn perched on the church steps, swapping childhood stories and favorite psalms. Michael realized her faith wasn't ornamental, it was iron. He proposed 10 months later beneath a canopy of string lights strung by grateful congregants. Their wedding, pew bows fashioned from donated lace, potluck reception, Mary's choir singing "Great is Thy Faithfulness," still drew tears when parishioners reminisced years later. Michael said that day felt like touching the edge of heaven, for children arrived in steady cadence. Ethan, firstborn, shot up like a beanpole. By 14, he could dunk. Early mornings echoed with the slap of rubber on driveway concrete. Noah, resident comedian, peppering Grace before meals with jokes that made the twins snort milk. Sophia, soft-spoken pianist, who let her fingers say what her lips couldn't. Her nocturnes lulled the household to sleep. Lily, youngest, voice like spun sugar, prone to belting hymns in the grocery aisle. Weeknights, Michael led dinner-table gratitude. Saturdays, the family garden behind the parsonage, delivering surplus tomatoes to elderly neighbors. From the outside, he splashed fuel across living room curtains, children's art, wedding photos. He paused at the mantel, a family portrait from last Thanksgiving. He wanted to save it, but fire, once born, demands all. A single match hissed, flame licking gasoline. Whoosh. Heat shoved him backward. Michael stepped outside, the roar behind him a dragon he unleashed. Sirens screamed minutes later. Flames devoured the roof. Windows popped like gunshots. Neighbors gasped from lawns. Lauren and the children, away at Lauren's sister's house for the night, watched news footage in shocked silence. Police guessed Michael's next move, Daniel's suburban ranch. Officers raced to intercept, but Michael arrived first. He found Daniel in pajamas, coffee halfway to lips. Without preamble, Michael pistol whipped him. Blood spattered a framed footprints poem. Daniel begged. Michael leveled the gun. Sirens wailed closer. 2 negotiators entered, voices low and steady. reminding Michael of his sermons on mercy. The children, they said, still needed him, even if not by blood. Tears blurred the room. The gun slid from his grip, clattering on hardwood. He crumpled, sobbing, as officers cuffed him. The trial drew national coverage. Pastor Burns' house over paternity shocker. Prosecutors laid out arson, assault with a deadly weapon. Michael pled guilty, offered no excuses, only apologies. Character witnesses, parishioners, former addicts he counseled, spoke of his years of service. The judge, balancing justice and mercy, sentenced him to 8 years with possibility of parole at 4, plus mandatory anger management and restitution. Haven of Light paid off liens with a relief fund set up by churches statewide. In St. Clair Correctional Facility, Michael discovered 2 truths. Grief is a marathon, and redemption is a relay, passed hand to trembling hand. He organized evening Bible study, not as preacher but fellow pilgrim. Hardened men wept as Michael recounted how fury nearly cost him everything. Letters from Lauren arrived monthly. Some pages were wet with tear stains. She described Ethan's chemo victories, Noah's stand-up routine at a school talent show, Sophia's music scholarship edition, Lily's baptism at a new church in another city. Michael read each letter thrice, then tucked it into a shoebox beneath his bunk. Daniel, discharged from the hospital, resigned ministry and enrolled in social work classes, dedicating himself to at-risk youth as penance. 4 years, 7 months, and 12 days after sentencing, Michael walked out, a free man with haunted eyes. Press cameras waited. He bypassed them, accepting only Lauren's silent hug outside the gate. They agreed co-parenting, not rekindling. He settled in a modest apartment, working at Second Chance Outreach, a nonprofit rehousing parolees. Twice a month he visited the children, now teenagers forging identities amid scar tissue. Biology no longer defined fatherhood, presence did. Haven of Light's charred shell was rebuilt by community hands. It reopened as the Phoenix Center, offering counseling for families fractured by betrayal, addiction, and violence. Michael volunteered anonymously, mopping floors after group sessions, a penitent ghost among the hurting. In Birmingham lore, the Adam saga became a modern parable. Secrets kindle fires, rage feeds them, but confession can douse embers before they consume everything. Tour guides lowered their voices when pointing out the rebuilt parsonage, as if respect alone kept new flames at bay. And Michael Adams, once bishop of the block, now slipped into pews unnoticed, listening more than teaching, proving even fallen shepherds can still lead by limp.